Oh,
Ladies and gentlemen, you must be wondering what's going on. No Ginger Joe. He's probably still busy, I think, Jamie, isn't he? Worrying about his Marine Nationale kind of bed sheets. He's washing them at home. So he's having the night off, and we are back. So, yeah, thank you all for tuning in. The proud sponsors of our show are betting.co.uk. Just a quick bit of housekeeping before we get stuck into the show, because we're going to hopefully be no longer than an hour tonight, and we've got a lot to get through. So, yeah, like I said, like and subscribe down below. You know what to do. All of the comments, share it, Twitter, Bad Boy Bowls, Scotty Rudz, your host, and Jamie Wrenn, the voice of Ireland. How you doing, mate?
great, Scotty, my man. Great to be asked the questions again. I'm very good at that role. We'll see how you get on at hosting today, and best of luck to you.
Oh, I know, mate. I mean, my first day in the job. Let's hope I don't end up like Eric Ten Hag has this week. So we'll see how it goes.
Oh, ho, ho, ho.
Anyway, so the format of the show tonight, pretty much what we've been doing. So we're going to start with some talking points. We're going to go through a few things that have happened this week, potential things coming up, and yeah, we're just going to be honest, Jamie, and we're just going to say what we think, and then we're going to go on to some Cheltenham targets. We've had a lot of stable tours out this week. Obviously, Willie Mullins came out today. I mean, today being Wednesday when we're recording, so we've got the declarations for the weekend for Friday. We're going to go through some of the weekend racing, and then we're going to go on to the Jamie versus Scotty picks to see if there's anything we want to stick in our 10 bets for the season. We've got the little competition we mentioned, and then we'll answer some questions. So, Jamie, are you ready to crack on with talking points?
Well, away, what?
Okay. So the first one we're going to just quickly catch up on is the roundup from the weekend gone. It was obviously Cheltenham last weekend, the showcase meeting, and I had a quick look, Jay, and for me, nothing really stood out early season. It's like the showcase meeting, people were quick to jump on and say, "Yeah, I really fancy this horse." Was there anything that caught your eye? I mean, there was four kind of Irish big winners for the weekend. We had Gavin Cromwell with Path de Rue, who won the Novices Chase as his second season novice. Henry de Bromhead had a winner. And you had obviously Gordon Elliott with the Wall Park who won the Pertemps qualifier. What really stood out for you? Was there anything that took your eye at the meeting?
I suppose it's the different trainers, bar Willie Mullen, Scotty, really, isn't it? Henry de Bromhead, Elliot, Cromwell, they're all coming over now and targeting in this meeting.
Yeah.
I suppose, yes, you're right. The Wall Park, what is it? It went up now £7. So this could be too high now for attempts. It's in the attempts, but it'd be too high. It could be good in the graded races. Is it good enough for graded races? It might be the way it won, to be honest with you. Other horse that stood out for me really, potential wise, was I was on there not promoting myself or anything like, but the tips there was that Fortune Demare, because I thought Carrie Skelton, if he got that ride back again, he definitely is a horse to follow, especially with all the pedigree side related to Sarah Deschamps and all that Q Vegas of this world. There's definitely something there, and I think if he got the ride back, I think he'd win. But he's definitely a horse, and actually the favorite, see to it for Kim Bailey, is definitely a horse to put in the tracker as well, because it did all the donkey work and was pestered for the lead. Um, Definitely want to follow, and maybe up and trip 2.5 mile, 3 mile hurdles. Just keep an eye out on it. And I think if we get an old small novice hurdle around Huntington or Ludlow's, the small tracks during the week, is a horse to keep an eye on. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like you say, I mean, it's hard not to get carried away early season because it's the first kind of big meeting. I mean, the horse that impressed me probably was Valgrand, the Dan Skelton horse, won the novices hurdle there, won it in good style. I mean, I think he went up to like 140. Is that what they gave it a rating after that race? So I don't know when we'll see him next, but yeah, he's definitely one to keep an eye on. And I think I'm going to be honest, there was a disappointment. Bottler's Secret. I thought he'd win the Matheson's Holding hurdle for the 4-year-olds, but I think they omitted again the final hurdle. That obviously didn't help his chances. But if he jumped it, maybe he probably still wouldn't have won. But I wouldn't give up on Bottler's Secret. Um, okay, so that was Cheltenham, and so the second point we're going to talk about, we're going to quickly mention the Melbourne Cup. Aidan O'Brien had the anti-post favourite. The St Ledger winner, I can't pronounce it, Jan Brughel. Is that how you say it? Jan Bruegel?
Jan Bruegel or something.
Jan Bruegel. I think it's named after a painter. Anyway, so yeah, Aidan obviously the race is on Tuesday next week. Taking the horse down, and he mentioned in the past that he was very wary about taking his horses down to Australia because of the strict veterinary rules they have. He's taken the horse over. They've taken a look at it and gone. I think the words were kind of he's like a heightened risk to get injury. And Aidan O'Brien, I've never seen him kind of. He doesn't get angry, but you could tell by the tone in his voice when Matt Chapman interviewed him that he was obviously very gutted. I think something similar happened in the Breeders' Cup last year when Jesse Harrington had a horse that they do like the little trot over the kind of platform and they deem that like a kind of non-runner. Do you think it's something they're doing on purpose, or how would you see that situation?
Well, he hasn't had a horse in what 4 or 5 years since he lost his Derby winner down there. Anthony Van Dyke was fatally injured in the race. I think it was
Yeah,
about 4 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago. I understand where he's coming from. Um, how, like the vet steer or something. He's an Australian. He was involved with the BHA, and he went back to Australia. And like, how can you judge a horse with a phone scan on his legs? Like even Aidan O'Brien's trying to explain. He said they'll have shadows, their 3-year-olds in their legs at the moment because they're growing and maturing into 4-year-olds, and they have a cool, more Australian vet down there. So to me, I think it's a small bit of jealousy. They see it's a Grade One winner. It's a blot in the handicap at 8 stone 7. Like I didn't fancy him myself because I don't think he's the turn of foot that you need to win a Melbourne Cup. That's just me. Willie Mullins. But no. All jokes aside, I think it's ridiculous. You'll never see Aidan O'Brien there ever again, and I don't blame him because they obviously thought the horse was going to win, and they said, no, he's Grade One winner. No, 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 we can't have that. It'll be too easy for him. And that's just my opinion. I may be totally wrong, but this phone scanning of horses, like you need the full scan of the whole horse. Um, and they're big owners, and they know that they have loads of horses, and it's different. Like say me and you own the horse, we'd be absolutely gutted traveling all the way down. But they can go to Hong Kong and all these places afterwards. You know what I mean? That's the other side of it.
yeah,
But I think it's ridiculous. It really is. Sad day for
yeah.
racing, really.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, like Aidan O'Brien said, he goes, there's always Hong Kong, but there's only one Melbourne Cup, and
Yeah.
Australia always kind of stops for that race, don't they? It's like a big national occasion. And like, I remember when the other flip side of the coin, I know it was like 12, 13 years ago when Black Caviar came to Royal Ascot.
Hmm.
They took the whole kind of national holiday to watch her race in the Diamond Jubilee Stakes when she only just won. We won't go into the ride. Um, but it's kind of like we welcome Black Caviar with open arms. We were looking forward to seeing her racing. She was the biggest superstar that side of in the Southern Hemisphere for racing, arguably at the time. It just leaves a bit of a shit taste in the mouth, if I'm being honest. And yeah, but I feel sorry for connections, but sometimes you have to just take your medicine and move on. So another point we're going to mention, I don't know if you've seen it, Jamie, but there was a race in Leicester in midweek, a horse called Bluffer on the Bus.
Hmm.
See, you must have seen it. So for those of you that haven't seen what happened, there was a race at Leicester over 7 furlongs. It's a flat race, but we're going to bring it up. There was a jockey, I think it was only his ninth ride. He took up the run. He was clear. He was way clear, and he just stopped riding, and he got done on the line, and he's been given a 28-day ban. If you haven't seen it, you've got to go back and watch it. To cut a long story short, I'm going to quickly say my thoughts, Jamie. People are saying, in what kind of other profession would you make one mistake and then be suspended for a month and lose out on pay and be punished for it? Well, I think the biggest kind of flip side to that coin is, and I put a comment on social media yesterday. I was a bit irate when I seen it. Imagine being a heart surgeon and cutting the wrong artery. You're not going to get a second chance. But when it comes to racing, in my opinion, the jockeys are riding for obviously themselves, the trainers, the owners, and then the punters. And whatever respect that jockeys have for the punters, they are carrying the punters' money. And if you're not ready to ride under race rules, whether you've had one ride or 1,000 rides, if you don't ride to obtain your best finishing position, I think you've got to accept your punishment. And so for me, I think it was the right decision. I think he's going to learn his lesson, the young lad. I think it was Matthew Lloyd. What was his name? Matthew Lloyd Slater, I think it was, wasn't it? But maybe I'm being a bit harsh. I just wanted to see what you thought on it, Jay.
I saw it, yeah, and I think that it's hard not to be. It's like you'd be very disgruntled, obviously, if you're a punter and you backed it. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It's a strange one. I think the severity of the ban is a bit too much for a young jockey at the moment.
Yeah,
Just
fair
going
enough.
back to like the Cesarovich kind of a thing, like over striking, and they really are being crucified at the moment. To be honest, with you, all the jockeys. I think
Hmm.
it's ridiculous. It's gone overboard now, and it has to stop. But we've other problems in the world, and people are jumping on the bandwagon with those type of things. Like, do you know what I mean? So that's always going to be a huge problem now. You see it at the Grand National, by the way. That's who I'm on about. But no, I think it's a bit severe. He's a young jockey. He's only about 9 to 10 right. He got it wrong. Move on. That's just
Yeah,
me.
I mean, I think the other thing that I think about is if you're a punter and an everyday punter, you kind of, I personally wouldn't be backing any jockey in any kind of race who's only had 8 rides in his career. I'd be kind of taking it into account unless the horse was an absolute machine. So at the end of the day, if you're backing kind of those kind of riders in those kind of races and that kind of thing happens, move on, grow up, and just accept that it happens. That's the other thing I do think about it. We're going to talk about something a bit more positive. We're going to just quickly talk about a couple of horses who ran at Wexford. I think it was on Monday, or was it Sunday or Monday? Anyway, it was a couple of days ago. The first horse we're going to talk about is in the pocket. It's the first time we've seen him. I think he didn't. I think it's his first appearance since November 2023 when he won his beginner's chase. I think he's a Grade One winner, of course. He beat Farron Glory, a Grade One winner in his own right, over hurdles last year. 15 lengths, 14 to one he was for the Arkle before the race, and he's now into 8 to one a general price. For me, I'm still not overly sold. I'd like to see him in a bit deeper ground, a bit better, better company. What do you think, Jamie? Is 8 to one now for the Arkle a good price, or is it opposable?
It's still a good price, but it all depends on one horse. So I think he'll take a lot of stopping in an Arkle if a certain horse called Ballyburn doesn't run on it. Yeah.
Yeah,
I really do think he's a very good horse. If you watch back the race, he attacked these fences. He was on the bridle for after most of the race. He's a top class horse. He's definitely going to the Dublin Race Festival. He'll be at Leopardstown at Christmas. He'll be all the grade ones. Um, but I'd say they'll be hoping that Ballyburn goes for the Brown advisory over 3 miles because it won't be Ballyburn now.
yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? Especially with the Turners now missing from the program at the festival. In the pocket, you can't imagine he's a 3 mile chaser, is he? So he's either going to have to face Ballyburn or the likes of Slade Steele. He'll probably be looking at Ballyburn's targets. But Willie's today, he's been a bit canny. He said he still hasn't decided or even spoken to the connections about Ballyburn's target, which are they all just waiting for payday in the yard just so they can lump on for the article and then announce it? I don't know. But yeah, I'm kind of lukewarm and in the pocket. I just don't like backing horses who've been injured and had setbacks and then come back the following season. I know he's still only a second season novice technically, but with only one run. But yeah, I'm going to hold my cards. I've already backed one in Yarkle, which I'll talk to you about later. Second horse we're going to talk about, and in my opinion was a very good performance, was Hartwood, who ran in the three runner chase and beating Corbett's Cross, who was giving lumps of weight away, and Buddy One, who won his beginners at Galway not too long ago. I think Hartwood's a very good horse, and I think he jumped really well. What did you make of that race, Jamie? And what did you think of Hartwood in particular?
I think it was kind of like a carbon copy of the Nace race last year, Scotty, that Corbett's Cross needed to run badly. He isn't the greatest jumper in the world, and the only reason he won a national chase last year because they went to crawl and he beat him for speed. Um, what's bugging me about Hartwood, he was getting £15 from Corbett's Cross, and that was massive.
Yeah,
Now, he did look like he improved from the step up to 3 miles, and they're touting like a conversation of a Betfair chase. Like the Bromhead, as the team in the past with the Blue Tart, has no problem bringing horses over to the Betfair chase, sorry.
yeah.
I suppose they'll probably will have no choice because of the owners have Jerry Clam with Elliott, and that'll probably go somewhere else with Gallup and Deschamps. So have a go, see where you're at. I don't think he's grade one top class though. He could be in a bit no man's land for a while, but with Corbett's Cross and Hartwood, they're definitely long term targets for a Grand National, aren't they?
Uh, Corbett's Cross. I was thinking about it today. I think Corbett's Cross's targets are very difficult to pinpoint. I don't think something like the King George would suit him. I think the Ryanair he'd be dead done for toe. I think he's a Gold Cup horse and maybe use that as a prep for the National. I think the National could be his target, but
Mhm.
they've still got obviously I am Maximus. I know the way you're thinking, those type of horses. But Hartwood, I was looking today. I think a real big kind of like potential improver, and he's 20 to one for the Ryanair. I may get stick for this, but I think 50 to one for the Gold Cup. It's just the trip that really that I just doubt at the moment. But 50 to 1, I think there's a lot worse 50 to 1 shots out there than he can be for the Gold Cup. I'd like to see him. I don't think they'll go to the John Durkin. So for me, I reckon the Savills at Christmas could be his next target. But it'd be good to keep an eye on Hartwood. The next point you wanted to talk about was prices at the Cheltenham racecourse for pints of Guinness and also incorporating something for ticketing for youngsters. Just tell us what you were thinking about there when you said that.
I just read something, Scotty, to be honest with you. Obviously, the lads will tell you and our friends there in the exchange. said about the Budweiser being £8.35, the Guinness £7.80. I'm like, I was over last November and it was £7.50. That's enough. Like that's €8.90, €9 Irish for me. Like that's like my local bar. Look, I'm from a different part of Ireland, South. It's cheaper to live down here. It's €5. That is crazy pricing. Like I looked actually today and about the hotels there just to have a look. Like I'm like a Holiday Inn for 2 or 3 nights is over nearly €1,400. Like so, like that is for a November meeting. And for example, when I went last year, I didn't go to Friday. The Saturday I met the lads. The better crack was actually down the Guinness Village, and you could see the racing better. You could bring your pint anywhere. Where this ridiculous thing where you were standing up at the top of the parade ring and you had to stop and gulp your pint down so you could watch a race. Now, apparently now they've designated areas for that, which is fair enough. But the Sunday there for the Great, what I thought was the biggest morgue I've ever met in a race course in my life. I'd have better crack watching the dogs 5 minutes from my house. And that's the God's honest truth. And they go on about racing experience. They need to seriously. The problem I think Scotty as well with it is too big now. Do you know, for the other meetings, you know what I mean? Now, fair play to them for getting 20,000 in the door last Saturday for an October meeting. That'd be completely unheard of years ago. But 5,000 were students and 5,000 were were 17. They were free. So that's a big difference. I mean, like a mother and their child have to have a ticket. So the ticket is scanning as a child, but it's adding to the attendance. So
Yeah.
me looking from the outside in is a bit of a con, a job. But it looked like there was a massive crowd there, and fair play to them. They got it right. They got lovely weather. But we have the old classic cliche again with timing of the races completely wrong. We have to go through. I hope we don't go through like in the November meeting. It was good last year, but there was no sun. Unfortunately, like snow, the clouds were there, but it ruins it. It turns into boring flat races. To be honest with you, they need to do something about it because if this happens for the November meeting, I'll just turn my TV off. It's getting ridiculous. I know health and safety. It's there for a reason. I understand it, but we're not in the flat business. It's jump racing. Do you know what I mean? I understand you're going 30, 40 miles an hour on a horse. They can't see it. Health and safety is huge. I reiterate that and I repeat myself, but it's not a good spectacle. Just that's just my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. How many times did we see it? Aintree last year in the old road is another example I can think of where they were supposed to be jumping about 15 fences. They only jumped about 6 or 7. It just
Yeah.
takes all the fun out of it. One thing I will say, over here where we live in our local breweries, we have a big company called Randall's,
Mhm.
and they have like points cards. So basically, you have it on your phone, you have the physical card. I don't know why the Jockey Club, whether they've got it, you've got the rewards for racing, where
Mhm.
you collect your points, you can buy tickets. I don't see why the Jockey Club and all the race courses just don't get something together where every time you buy a pint, you get like 10%, and then you all your points add up, and at the end of the day, you get a couple of free points where you can put
Yeah.
it towards tickets. I don't see why they don't do that. I think it would just give people a bit of incentive to spend a little bit more money, and you'll get something back for it.
Yeah.
But
The
that's
last thing I will say on that, Scotty, is exactly what David Jennings said last year when when they went through the whole review of it just quickly, is that when you buy a ticket for the say, doesn't matter what stand it is, it could be over the best made, it could be the Tattersall's, it could be anywhere, right?
yeah,
Fair enough, you've your corporate in higher up. That's fair enough. I understand that part because you're eating and when you want a day out in the box, that's fine. But general admission should be general admission. You should be allowed to go wherever you want. The mind is, oh, Tats is this, the club is this. That has to go. That day and age is gone here. You saw it last year when you go to the DRF. You buy your ticket, you walk in the door, you can go wherever you want. You know what I mean? They need to change that as well.
totally agree. I've been saying that for years, ever since I was a member at the festival, going back 15 years at the racecourse. We're going to quickly move on. Our next subject of the night, Jamie, we're going to talk about Cheltenham targets. Instead of just talking about random kind of horses, I've got a list of horses who we've heard about this week, and just going to chuck a name at you. I want to say what you think and potentially the route they may take. Can start off with Sergino. We've heard that he may be champion hurdle bound this year. What do you think?
Again, it'll all depend on Ballyburn, like as the Arkle horse for Willie Mullins. They have state man. Well, they, I think, to be honest with you, Scotty, Sergino to me was going to champion her because it all depends. I think it's really back up for Constitution Hill. But if
Yeah,
Constitution Hill comes back, they might wait for Sergino and then put him over fences like before Christmas. That's just my opinion at the moment. And he's
yeah.
huge, obviously huge. But the only thing, a little word of caution, and we were kind of cribbing last week about the stats and trends, and it's our opinion. Like the last 5-year-old to win an Arca was Viper Stadies, which is 19 years ago, this festival.
Yeah. I mean, he won the champion chase as well, Viper Estedes.
Mm.
I personally think Sir Gino will be campaigned over 2 miles over hurdles. I think the races like Wincanton, the Elite Hurdle, the Kingwell, those kind of things. I don't think we'll see Constitution Hill, regardless of what he does at Newcastle. I don't think we'll see him at Christmas. I think Gino's got the Kempton form. I think he'll be the number one for Henderson at Christmas, and then maybe they'll think about it after that. Maybe save him for Atria over 2.5, step him up in trip with review defences. The second horse we're going to talk about quickly is Brighter Days Ahead. She was talked about going over fences. She was always going to be favourite for the Mare's Chase, 5-2. All of a sudden, she's a Mare's Hurdle horse. We're going to see her, we think, at Down Royal. She's been declared. I think she's a good thing for the Mare's Hurdle this year, as long as if Lottie Mouth doesn't turn up. What do you think?
Oh, 100%. You just took the words out of my mouth. Absolute good thing if Lassimo doesn't turn up. I won't beat Lassimo if Lassimo turns up.
Yeah, agreed on that one. And we're going to talk quickly about Madgeborough. I know last year, in one of our first shows, you put Madgeborough up for the Triumph at about 33-1.
Mhm.
He's going to be going novice chasing this year. I've already backed him for the Browns at quite a big price, and I'm happy to see that. What do you reckon with Madgeborough?
Was it the last, we're going back again, was it the last 5-year-old to win the Proud to start of Mahays on, was it?
Yeah, that was about 2006, I think, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
a long
Long
time
time
ago.
ago.
A very
Yeah,
long time ago. Um, I'd be worried about that. I think he'd be better the year after. But they're obviously going to go to Browns. There's nowhere else for him. Exactly, no, that's where I suppose we were cribbing about the dilution of the Turners. You could do with the Turners now, couldn't you, this year? That's the other side of it.
yeah,
He's not for me at the moment. He's a seriously talented horse. Um, he got his ground in the Triumph last year. There was no Sergino. So you have to kind of rein that back. You have to think about that. Oh, he's a top class horse. He's definitely a Gold Cup horse in the future. There's no doubt about that. But for me, because he's a 5-year come from the Triumph Hurdle, I'd leave him go this year. That's just my
yeah.
opinion. It's an early opinion. And I was, as you said, put him up for a Triumph Hurdle last year. So I got lucky there, I thought. But no, I think I've another William Mullins horse for that race.
Ooh. Yeah, just a quick final word of Madgeborough. I think 16 for the Browns is a fair price. Like you say, 5-year-old record is not great, but they've got in the pocket who will go the Arkle route if he stays fit. So JP's not going to want to have two. He's going to have another crack at another big novice chase. Last one, we've already mentioned Lossy Mouth. I don't think everything's set in stone for her yet. I read something today that she's going, well, she's been they've said that she's going to go down the champion hurdle route. I still have my doubts. They've got State Man, obviously. He normally starts off and will run in races like the Morgiana, the Matheson, the Irish champion hurdle, and then at Cheltenham. I think Lossiemouth, Rich Ritchie and Willie Mullins have started off Annie Power and Faheen in that race at Ascot, the Coral Hurdle. I think that's over like 2 mile free, 2 mile 3.5. I reckon we'll see her there. I've got this feeling she's going to turn up to that race. I think it's the same day as Betfair Chase Day and potentially she could go something like the international hurdle, but she's going to be avoiding the likes of Constitution Hill in England and State Man in Ireland. I reckon they may run her once before Christmas, once after Christmas. I still think she goes to the Mayor's Hurdle. I don't know what you think.
I think there's a possibility, exactly what you're saying. I think you'll see her in the international in December again, like she did last year, and then
Yeah,
have a crack at statement at the DRF. Like he's done it before with Vauban and all them who thought it was a hurdler, and then he put him on in against Statement. Statement still beat him on. But I think Lassie Mount will destroy Statement. Not maybe at Leopardstown, but at Cheltenham. I don't think Statement is Cheltenham. Cheltenham is his bag, Scotty, and he barely beat Irish Pint, who to me is a tripless horse, right? In a champion hurdle. Unfortunately, he's out this season. I'd like to see him actually stepped up and tripped this year, but we'll wait till the following year. But no, I think given £7 in a champion hurdle, if there's no constitutional, Lassimo is going to win the champion hurdle.
yeah. I'm with you. I said it when Honeysuckle went head to head with State Man. I fancied State Man. It's the same kind of vibe. I think if Lossiemouth and State Man meet, I'd be in the Lossiemouth camp. Getting £7 as well. So that's what we've got there on those horses for Cheltenham Targets. We'll have more next week, but we're going to move on to the weekend. This we said it. This is where the season starts for me, Jamie. Forget
Mhm.
October meetings at Cheltenham. This is the big weekend. Starting on Friday, we've got the meeting at Wetherby. They've got a Grade 3 handicap chase there, and obviously Down Royal is the big talking point. We've got the 12:25. I'm going to quickly run through the races, name some horses, and then we'll give you your chance to have your selections. Starting in the 12:25, we've got the maiden hurdle run over 2 mile 6.5 furlongs. I don't understand it, but now the new rule's been brought in. This is the way I'm looking at it. You've got to have another run compared to you did last year to get in these handicaps.
Mhm.
Gordon is starting both wingmen and the yellow clay in this race. What do you make of that?
We won't give it away yet, will we, Scotty?
Oh, I know. I'm just trying so hard not to.
We won't give it away.
Okay.
Yeah, he both kind of said Wingman was longer and Yellow Clay was shorter, wasn't it? Trips at the time.
Yeah, I think he hinted at the
Um,
yellow clay starting over 2 miles, but he seems to have changed his mind, I think.
like but like if you look, I was there the day Wingman won his bumper, the day Tupa won the stairs at Punchestown there this year. He really impressed me, but they said he's a tricky ride, so I would nearly go with the Yellow Clay at the moment. But they're definitely one or the other, like, or they both could be handicap plots for Cheltenham, ideally. But I think, to be honest, if you look back, they are better ground horses. And that Martin
Yeah.
Pipe has been an awful slog the last couple of years. If they got a bit of decent ground a year like Oroco one was decent enough that year, they're definitely horses to follow, yeah.
Yeah. For me, I'll probably be in the wingman camp for this race with a long-term view to the
I'll
yellow
take you on
clay.
so with the yellow clay against them, so.
Okay. So that's our first little interpersonal battle, first race of the weekend. Going to quickly talk about the 205, which is the grade three. It's the mare's novices hurdle. And oh my God, Speculatrix. What happened the last day? Killarney absolutely cruising. Fell at the last. Jack Kennedy went absolutely flying. I think Speculatrix will go favourite for this race. I haven't got prices in front of me at the moment, but surely this is one where she's going to take the beating.
Oh, 100%. I don't know what Jack Kennedy was doing. I think he won right. He was only back from injury in Killarney. The form wasn't great. Fair Damsel came out at Sligo last week and was beaten with handy, a 2.5 mile handicap. Um, the sixth, like if you watch back to racing entry, Scotty, the way Speculatrix travelled up into the furlong pole was unbelievable. The winner, Diva Luna, a load of people are putting this horse up to follow, and the
Yeah.
third was I thought was very impressive in Ludlow. Did everything wrong, like Marquez. Um, should be a shoe in. Like if you get odds against with Speculatrix, I would say have a good betner.
Yeah, I'll be tempted as well. I only think probably, I reckon even 8 to 11. I reckon she may go
Yeah,
off about that kind of price. I'd be tempted. I think she's a penalty kick in this myself.
yeah.
We're going to go on. We've got a nice little race. Brighter days ahead. We spoke about her. She's
Mm.
going in this grade three. And I think this is a decent race, Jamie. You've got Daddy Longlegs, not everyone's favourite horse. He was way beaten in the Galway Hurdle. I think he was last of 19 when the Berggreen won that race. And then he's come up and absolutely hacked up at Tipperary in a grade three next time. And then King of Kingsfield, who we all fancy for the county hurdle, some of us, including me last year, absolutely done my money on him. And then Smooth Tom, pretty much exposed now. And then the other two are pretty much no hope, is in my view. I think it's brighter days ahead. What do you think?
I'm going to take you on.
Oh,
This is the bet
Jamie,
of Friday.
really?
Daddy
Ooh,
Longlegs in the ground,
ooh.
and you have to look at it. He's rated 150.
Mm,
Friday Days Ahead is only 145, and he's only giving it a pound. We love the ground. Better going right in. Watch the race. I was there in the summer when it got absolutely hammered by winter fog in Tipperary. I was actually there. And then it won at Tipperary the last day on Arc Day. And you can see Paul Tomlin fighting with Danny Longlegs all the way around. He gave it a great ride if you look back. Great ride. He was hanging all the, he was trying to go right all the time. He's better going right-handed. He's fitness on his side. I know Brighter Days ahead won the Mayor's race that Speculatrix is in this year last year over 2 miles.
yeah.
And is obviously a better horse down the line. But will she be ready for a fit Daddy Longlegs on better ground because there's no rain forecast? And I have a funny feeling they might go, we won't fancy it today on that ground. But she's gone on it last year, so they probably will. But I think Daddy Longlegs will beat her, and he's the nap of the day on the Friday.
Yeah. I remember you saying to me last year, you always swore Daddy Longlegs was a better horse going right-handed. I think Willie as well has also said this is going to be the last time we're going to see Daddy
Yep.
Longlegs before the spring. So that tells me as well, that's a big clue in itself. He's going to be primed for this race. He's going to be absolutely ready to run per minute. I don't know what price to go off. I reckon Brighter Days Ahead will probably be about 8 to 13, and Daddy Longlegs, you might get about 5 to 2, 9 to 4 in a day. So we'll keep an eye on that. So Jamie's nap, Daddy Longlegs. I
Yeah.
need to get some money back on him from the Galway Hurdle, Jamie. I went against the Bergring. So I'm not saying I'm going to follow you in, but I'm going to have a little look. Now we've got an interesting race here on the 3:15. I'm skipping a race. If you want to go back, we will. Beginner's Chase. for me, it's all about Firefox.
Firefox.
Last year, fantastic. He obviously finished third in the Supreme, ran really well at Aintree. The only horse to beat Ballyburn in his maiden, but we went. Ballyburn wasn't fit that day. Anyone knows that. Firefox just wins, doesn't he?
Yeah, yeah, 100%. Yeah. Another horse that would have loved the Turners, but we won't go there.
Yeah.
I'd have to go the Arkle. I don't think he'll go 3 miles, to be honest with you. Do you think? No, I think it's another Arkle horse, mate.
Yeah.
The Arkle,
Yeah. I
like you're going
mean,
to have big field Arkles and big field Browns this year, aren't you, really?
you literally just took away what I was going to say. It's just so good, I think, for all the fields this
But it's
year.
true.
Turner's has gone. So I think that's a good point. What we're going to say though is at 3:30. We won't talk about the bumper too much, but we have had winners of that race before that won at the festival. Sir Gerhard, I think 2 or 3 years ago, won the race, and then he won the bumper at the festival. You happy to move on to Saturday, Jamie? Or is
Yeah.
there anything else you like?
Um. No, no, that's it. I can do the other stuff with the horse Friday night, but that we can do that at the last minute. Yeah, belt to bet.
Okay, so Down Royal, we're going to stick with Down Royal whilst we're on
Mhm.
it. Saturday, I think this is a cracking race. I'm going to be honest, I was kicking myself last week. I didn't do my research enough. There was horses that were double entered.
Mhm.
The Gordon Elliott horse that won in Ireland that could have she could be anything. That was the one that hacked up and then didn't run at Cheltenham. Jerry Colom is double entered. He's 4-7 for the Grade One Ladbrokes Champion Chase. He's
Mhm.
entered to run in the Charlie Hall, but we'll get to that race after. Rubcorp got another run in that race, which I think is going to turn up. So Jerry Colom's the 4-7 favourite. Then you got the likes of Envoy Allen, previous winner of the race. 10 going on 11. Can he do it again? Hewick, I think they've supplemented Hewick for this race so he can take his chance for Shark Hanlon. Found the 50s double entered. I think he's going to run in the later race on the card. And then you obviously got the old favourites Delta Work, Conflated, and Visionarian. Jerry Colom, surely he wins again, doesn't he, Jay?
I'm going to take him on again.
Oh, you're going to.
Yeah, I think Envoy Allen is better on better ground than Jerry
Yeah.
Calam. Now they say that like I see Gordon Elliott is defined that he's good on better ground, but like he barely won last year, and I think they're going to have another crack at Galloping the Champ this year, right? And they're going to
Hmm.
have a crack early. I think they're going to skip the King George because it's probably too hot for him, but they're going to have a crack at Galloping the Champ at Christmas. And I think they're going to hold back on this. And I think this is Envoy Allen. It was only beaten by what a snout last year by Jerry Calam. I think this is his Gold Cup for the whole year. I think this is probably one of the last races Envoy Allen ever wins. And he's a great horse around down ride who can't crib his record. And I think Envoy Allen will win it,
Wow, 2 out of 2 are against each other already.
yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. It's probably a two-horse race. Moving on, we mentioned Found the 50. He runs in the 320, I think, which is the Bottle Green Ladies Day 24 chase. It's a grade two. Paul Nicholls have got a good record in this race. Don't think he's got anything running this year. But the same owners, like they've done, Wingmen and Yellow Clay, they've got American Mike entered and Zanna here. Whether they get declared tomorrow or not, I don't know. And the likes of Lucid Dreams in there. I'm not a big fan of 50 fan, but I think this is probably a race that he'll start favourite for. Have you had a look at this one, Jamie? What do you think?
Sure, he won the corresponding like course this is novice chase that Firefox did last year, but they took out the fences down because again, lowest on. Oh, he's an absolute good thing. He'll be odds on, unfortunately. Quickly there before we go on, move on from the Saturday. The juvenile on the first race on the Saturday, Zainab, a future guest of the show called Tommy will be on soon, and he was there at the Stone. He said, "Jamie, it was really, really impressive and went hard to the line." Actually watched the race uh, on my sitting down on my sofa, and I thought he was very impressive. And of course, the horse that I've backed for the Supreme is in the 1 o'clock. Hopefully, it runs in the 2 mile maiden hurdle. Is a horse that I really, really, really like. Is Romeo Coolio,
Yeah.
and hopefully on to better things and hopefully onto a Royal Bond maybe against Salvatore Mundi, and that's what I want to see. Or just wait till Christmas for the Grade One. And the only other horse I suppose to mention, Scotty will have to mention it. That bumper as well. There's another good bumper on Saturdays. Well, they call it a flat race. Is a horse that's been well touted by people I see on Twitter sphere today for the bumper at 33 to 1. It's Classical Creek for Gordon Elliott. It'd be interesting to see if that runs in the bumper on Saturday. Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to know what's going to turn up in that race, but I think he's also got one in the bumper on the Saturday as well. He's got American Jukebox, so I don't know if that's going to run, but that's been well touted as well. I'm quite keen on American Jukebox. Obviously, got a good pedigree, so yeah, that's cool. So down row looks pretty good. So should we do have a quick look at Ascot? There was a couple of handicap chases at Ascot on the Saturday, which are very, very good races normally early on in the season. 205. Let's find a 205. So you've got the likes of Master Chewy, Uncle Phil, Lepatron, who's a Grade 1 winner last year. He won the Henry VIII, and Madara, who we've seen winning at the Dublin Racing Festival, and old favourites from Ascot. Sansagale's 4-1 favourite at the moment. We're still, again, waiting for declarations. And then you've got other horses in there who've got pedigree, the likes of Matterhorn. I personally like Master Chewy. I don't know whether top weight he's capable of winning a race like this first time out. Have you had a look at the race, Jamie?
I haven't, Scotty, to be honest with you. I had a good look at Ascot. It's one of those cars that it's very, very competitive. It's actually a good. It'll be a good watch, but I wouldn't be um wasting my euros on some of those races. To be honest with you, Saint Sakala, of course, you just mentioned there is a horse that I backed every year last year at Ascot, and
Oh,
I fed it the last one day, and I was crying. I said never back that horse again. I suppose quickly, not moving on from the race. The only real horse I suppose the 315 is that 2 mile handicap hurdle. Horse that Joe and we were all very confident on last year, but there's no £10 claimer this time. Is fiercely proud. Has
yeah.
Ben Jones on this time for Ben Pauling. It's 6-1. Um, maybe this is the day, not the Greatwood. They don't. Maybe it might not be good enough for a Greatwood to win it, but he still has a mark of 129. I think he's better than that. Regardless of he so threw away the race last Friday at Cheltenham. I think he's a horse to look out for, and this could be the day. So I wouldn't put anyone off 6-1 back in that horse again.
Yeah, he's actually been backed into 11 to 2, 6 to 1,
Yeah,
11 to 2 general, but there's so many horses in there. It's one of those races where
it
I
is.
kind of look and I've got so many of my old favourites in there. Spirit Danu, who I always backed as a 4 or 5 year old. Yeah, probably a race to leave alone at the moment for me. And in the 345, we've got the ultimate winner, Chianti Classico. He's a 3-1 favourite going top weight here for Kim Bailey. They've already said the Grand National is going to be the long term target. Some other good horses in the race, the likes of Flagmatic, whether he's more of a Kempton specialist, I don't know. Solo, who's normally pretty good first time out. I'll be looking at that race, and I don't know what they're going to do with Chianti Classico, but I'll be keen on looking at him. Gonna
Uh,
quickly. Sorry, Jamie, go on.
yeah, yeah. You mentioned a horse there that I kind of looked at, and you're right. I wouldn't put anyone off back in solo going right-handed first time out. Yeah, definitely with a bit of better ground. Yeah.
Yeah, I do like Solo as a horse.
Yep.
We're going to jump on to Weatherby, if
Mhm.
that's all right with you, Jay. We've got a bit of time. So I'm looking at the first race at Weatherby on the 150. It's the listed mare's hurdle. It's a pretty good race, I think. And you said something before about brighter days ahead, and so did I. She's entered here. She's obviously not going to run. I think Lucia's opened up, and she's an even money favourite. She's going to be opposing the likes of Katera. Do you think Lucia? I think was it last year she ran first time out in this race, and she got absolutely battered. Would you be
Mhm.
keen on taking even money on Lucia in this race?
I wouldn't take the even money, no, Scott. I wouldn't take the even money, no. But I think she'll win because I think the race is not as good as it was last year because you were
Yeah.
well in it last year. I think she's better on better ground as well, to be honest with you. I think she'll win. Um, Saturday as well, I see the first rating is at the 12:40. Um, it's jacked up already, and it's a horse that Mr. Skelton is very keen on to take on Maureen with it and Mare's Novice. And
Yeah.
I'm really interested to see this Let It Rain. And if you get a good, decent, probably you're not going to get a decent price on it. But if you got 4 to 5, 8 to 11, oh my God, this horse is really good. She beat Brecon Castle in a bumper last year at Ascot, and they're really touting her as a mare's novice hurdle target for the future. And yeah, and I suppose the other one, the 3 mile hurdle? Is it the only other really decent race on the card?
Yeah. The West Yorkshire
We
Hurdle. It's a great
as we
two.
we had a question earlier with a fella very late, wasn't it? Joe Jenkins said, "Was your each way kind of play for the stairs hurl at the moment?" And this is
Mm.
mine really at the moment because there's nothing really else out there at the moment. 7-4, I think, Scotty, if you agree with me, is massive on strong leader. I think it's a nothing race. I think the flatter the track, the better the ground. This horse should win. And they're kind of toying with Cheltenham. Will they go to Cheltenham? He's more of an entry horse, but I think they can't resist going to Cheltenham afterwards. And he would be my each way playing the stairs at the moment. Yeah.
don't like this race early season for Stayers Hurdle
Hmm.
horses. I'm going to be honest with you. I think Strong Leader's a bit weak. I don't think he's going to feature in the Stayers Hurdle. I wouldn't be surprised if they just went straight to Aintree with him. But again, that's something we'll have to keep an eye on. Just going back to Let It Rain, I put her up as one of my five to follow novice hurdles horses this year. I'm mega excited to see her as well. And I think she's like 14 to 1 for the mare's novice still, best price. Uh, and Maureen's like a 7 to 2 shot. So I know where I'd be going at the moment. But yeah, Let It Rain, definitely exciting. Going back again quickly to the grade two, the race you just mentioned was Strong Leader. I may get booed off and I may be sacked after week one hosting the show, but I kind of like it 33 to 1. First time over 3 miles. I just think all mankind, if he settles and he gets into a good rhythm out in front, they don't go really quick in this race. I think it could be a big price for all mankind. He's a
Okay.
bit hit and miss,
Hmm.
but he's definitely one I'll be keeping an eye on. And again, in that race, you've got the likes of Sandor Clegane who's entered, Twig who's entered. They just preps for the likes of the Coral Gold Trophy and bigger
Yeah.
handicaps in Ireland. So that's interesting. But the big race of the day at Wetherby is the Grade 2 Charlie Hall Chase, won last year by Gentleman's Game, who beat Brave Man's Game. Brave Man's Game is an even money favourite at the moment, but Rob Court are going to be sending French Dynamite, who won last time. Would you be taking Brave Man's Game at 6 to 5? But we're again going back to double entries. Grey Dawning is entered at Carlisle on Sunday for that graduation chase. I think Grey Dawning runs here, and if he does, I'd be taking Brave Man's Game on Grey Dawning.
I don't know. Will Great Dawning run? I'd be very skeptical if it runs over the ground, but maybe. But like, in fairness, like French Dynamite was kind of impressive. Now he's beaten. He was against a few old stagers and conflated fell in that race. The punches down there a couple of weeks ago. Um, I don't think I've ever actually ever tipped this horse, but I think Brave Man's Game's an absolute like I'm like there's no way at the start of the season that Grey Dawning is going to give Brave Man's Game £3 and he's rated £9 inferior to Brave Man's Game. Now Brave Man's
Yeah.
Game is a 166 horse. Is he really? In my opinion, but he should have won the race last year against Gentleman Game if he didn't walk through the last. I think this is his day because I don't think he'll win any other race during the year, to be honest with you, Scotty. And I'm not cribbing the horse. He's been a decent horse through the years for Nick as he souped him up to be better than he is. But no, I think he'd be primed for that. And no, I see even when he 10 to 11, I think well, this is the day for Brave Man's Game, I think.
Yeah, fair enough. I think if it's better ground as well, I think Nichols said he doesn't mind the softer ground, but Brave Man's Game on better ground is definitely a better horse in my opinion.
He
So I'd
must
be
have
keeping an eye on
better
that.
ground.
And like you say, if the rain doesn't come, 10 to 11 could be juicy. I think that's it from the weekend, Jamie. Is there anything Sunday you want to talk about at Carlisle or anywhere else?
Yeah, he spoke to two that'll stand out. Really, Scotty, are like first time out last year at Warwick. I thought he looked like an absolute machine. He's running I think he's running the Colin Parker on Sunday and it's a Rocco. I think this is his trip. He's been prepped all year for a Grand National as well. So that's another horse. But the one, there's a good grade three novice chase over 2.5 miles of Cork on Sunday, and maybe your mate's horse, Jesse Evans, might be running this. To be honest, with you, I still think he's a 2 miler on a fast pace. But he liked the ground because there's no rain forecast, and that's good this time of year. But you have to look at the race too, that the Galway Plate winner, Pinkerton, is still a novice here in Ireland. Like he'll take a lot of beating regardless. Um,
Yeah.
that's it really for Sunday. If you need to talk about anything else before we go into Q&A, the only thing else I have a few selections for the Breeders' Cup if you want to go there next.
Just a quick one before we do. I
Yeah.
spoke to Jack and they're very keen on Jesse Evans. This has been the plan for a good 3, 4 weeks. So I do think he's an intended runner. If they get a lot of rain, they may pull him. But yeah, Jesse Evans is an intended runner, so keep an eye on him. Breeders' Cup, I'm not massively sold on it. I'll probably watch it just to watch City of Troy. But give us your selections, mate. What do you reckon?
Um, there's four races, Scott. Well, look, obviously we'll start at the top, like you said there. I'd love to see obviously City of Troy win. He's by Justify. He should be able to handle it. I suppose the only thing is about if you watch back the York International, he does hang to his right, and that is tough around a tight track. But look, I think
Mm,
Ryan Moore, you've the best pilot in the world on him. He'll put him on the paint. I think he'll just go and catch me if you can. And I don't think anyone can catch City of Troy when he's in full flow, to be honest with you. And I hope he wins. I think 7 to 4 is massive. Um, Friday night at about 12:30, and if you're after a couple of glasses of wine and a few beers, there's a horse. There's actually the best race I think the whole night. Obviously, Lake Victoria isn't even money to win the Fillies turf sprint, but the juvenile colts, the reopposing, they were in the Woodbine while juvenile last Al Qudra and New Century, I think it was the name of the horse. The New Century beat Al Qudra by a length and a quarter. Godolphin have no, he's drawn wide, and this is tough around Delmar because it's very tight. He's drawn 12, but I wouldn't put anyone off winning Buicks on the Morey City, the Vintage Stakes winner from Goodwood. He was fourth in the National Stakes, I think, behind Scotty champion Henri Matisse the last day. 8 to 1, I think, is massive. I really do, and I love Buick around Delmar and all these places. I think he's mustard. Now Doyle, not wrong with Doyle either, but I think Buick is mustard, and 8 to 1 each way. I couldn't believe it off. The race I've loved over the years is the turf. I mean, like 11 to 4 on a horse that was third in the King George behind Goliath, who won the last day in France. Blue Stockings after winning an arc, right? Is Rebel's Romance. He's been on globe trotting around the world, but has he been globe trotting around the world too much? And there's a horse in this called JRB who was beaten by Economics at Deauville and then went on to win the Prix d'Or at Longchamp. I see there's been a lot of support for it now. It's 11 to 2. If you want to back Rebels and Romance, I wouldn't put you off with the form, but I think JRB at 11 to 2 each way is definitely a horse to take on Rebels Romance with. And finally, the race of the whole meeting is after the Classic, and it's the Breeders' Cup Mile. And you have the Guineas winner in Notable Speech, who love the ground. And then you have Portaventura, who was second in the Breeders' Cup Fillies last year, only beaten half a length, who's won all around her this year. But the horse that I really, really fancy is the one that won the Prix de la Forêt. Should have won the Guineas. I think this is the only way it gets a mile, is around the tight track at Delmar, and is the bet of the whole meeting, to be honest, is the French horse, Ramatuelle. Uh, I think this horse is top class, and she is a really good horse. And Notable Speech has done it all year. Ramatuel was left off since Royal Ascot. Obviously, he was beaten by Portaventura at Royal Ascot, but I think this is its bag. Tight track, fast pace, away you go, and it's better the whole meeting Ramatuel for me.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Notable Speech has been on the go for 6 months. It's very hard for a flat horse at that age to keep up kind of momentum for that long. So yeah, you heard it from the horse's mouth. Jamie's better the weekend. He's going to be up at 12:30 to through to God knows what time in the morning on Saturday and Sunday. So if you see Jamie_Wrenn on Twitter posting videos, I know it's Halloween week. Don't get scared. It is Jamie. So make sure you're following him because
You
no
can see
doubt he'll
down the
be on the way
bottom of the
one.
screen it says Ginger Joe. It doesn't say me. It didn't.
So yeah, that's Delmar. We've got the Breeders' Cup in the bag. Jay, we're not going to go keep everyone down too much longer, but we're on to the big part of the show. It is Jamie versus Scotty. So we get 10 picks per season. You don't have to do anything this week, Jamie, but do you have a selection for your anti-post portfolio for our head-to-head this week?
I do. My first
Ooh.
selection, Scotty, will be in the Brown Advisory, and I see he's still.
No. Go on.
Oh no, did we pick the same horse again? Have we?
Oh, no.
Is it Bidey Higginstown?
Go on.
Right, I go first. So yeah, my horse, the first anti-post selection of the whole year is 20 to 1, and it's the horse that was third in the Martin Pipe, and it's Key de Bourbon.
Yeah.
I really like this horse. I think he's a monster. The size of him. He then went on to Air One Easy. He travelled like an absolute good thing. He was obviously campaigned lightly with the Martin Pipe. He won a few races around Clonmel, I think. Um, I really like him, and forget about 145 marks underneath for like a novice handicap. I think is an bar Masborough, obviously. I think he's when he wins number one. He's going to be in all the top class race this year. And I look at the 3 mile and Grade One novice chased him on by Grange Clare West last year. It has to be a massive target for him, an early season target. I wouldn't put anyone off 20 to 1. I think he's a future Gold Cup horse because the Kingstown haven't had a Gold Cup horse in a while. Um, yeah, I'm pretty excited about this horse. I think he's really, really good. It's Key to Bourbon for me in my first selection.
Key to Bourbon. Best price? What's the best price?
20 to
20 to
1
1.
with Larbrooks. Larbrooks, it's 20 to 1 top price. Yeah.
Okay. Wow. everyone's going to say I've got something against Jamie and vice versa, but I'm taking him on in the same race, and luckily it's not Key to Bourbon. But my first pick is going to be in the Browns, best price 12 to 1 with Ladbrokes, and it's Dancing City for Willie Mullins, owned by the Donnellys. And a lot of people are saying Shanna Bob is Nicky Henderson's kind of big novice chaser for this season potentially because he's owned by the Donnellys as well.
Mhm.
And now the National Hunt Chase is a handicap. I thought that would have been his race, but potentially he could have two runners in the Browns. I just think Dancing City is an absolute knocking bet. Proven Grade One horse, one at the Dublin Racing Festival, was third in the Albert Bartlett, one at Aintree, one at Punchestown. I think 12s. I think when he wins his beginner's chase, which he will, Willie Mullins will find a perfect starting point for him. He'll go into about 5, 6 to 1. He'll half in price at least. So yeah, that'll be my first selection is Dancing City. Best price 12 to 1 with Ladbrokes. Jamie Key to Bourbon 20 to 1. So that's one each. Jay, we're almost there, mate. We're not going to keep everybody much longer, but we're going to have a few quick fire questions before we wrap up the show. You happy for me to crack on?
Crack on, but
Okay, so the first question is from Sam Space, and he was kind enough to be a first-time viewer to our show last week, and he's asked us, dark horse under the radar for the festival, something you think could be a dark horse. Have you got one?
I think I mentioned in the first episode we did, Scotty, was I looked, and the problem is, you know yourself, I'm waffling on a small bit, is like Twitter sphere is very hard to get a horse under the radar now, to be honest, and you know
Yeah.
yourself. And my horse is definitely under, it's not under the radar, but it's the horse that I really, really fancy for that novice handicap over 2.5 miles, 0 to 145. And of course, I put up Key to Bourbon for the Browns, and exactly what you do. It's Waterford Whispers, who was second in Martin Pike. I think he's tailor made. He's not a grade one horse, since some Halligan thinks he's a grade one Arkle horse, but sure, he's from Waterford and they've never won nothing in years, so he'll kill me now for saying that. But hi Andrew. But no, the Waterford Whispers, all jokes aside, is definitely a horse to keep on side. Is it under the radar? It's not really, but you can't really get a horse under the radar at the moment.
Yeah, it's pretty hard, like you say. I mean, I was going to say under the radar, my selection would have been Buddy One. I think he ran a good race the other day at Wexford when he finished behind Corbett's Cross and Hartwood. I think something like the National Hunt Chase. I don't know if he'll be over 145, which means he may have to run in the Browns. He'd be one. I don't think it's under the radar. Everyone knows how good he is, or potentially could be over fences. Stellar Story is interesting. I know he won at the festival last year. I think for a Brown advisory, I know we talked about Key to Bourbon. I think he potentially could be a horse that could run in the Browns, and I think you can get about 33 to 1 on him. I think he is as big as that out in the village somewhere. He'd be one that I'd be very keen on. I think he's got a chaser. He's just made to for chasing, and he is going to be going over fences this year. I think 33 to 1 Stellar Story. I think they've had horses down the years who've been unlucky in the race. We're talking about Jigginstown not having a Gold Cup horse for a while. Name escapes me, the horse that fell in the Browns a couple of years ago. He ran in the Pertemps this year when it was raining the race at Long Presso won. Um,
Farouk Delenn.
Farouk Delen, that was it. I think the likes of him, he was unlucky in the Browns. I think his Stellar Story is a similar kind of mold, so he'd be one. Second question is from Richard Hayday. Bet already struck for the festival anti-post. One you're happy with and you think you've got a massive chance. Just basically your best bet so far, anti-post for the festival.
Well, I wasn't happy the last day of Venetia Williams thing because that horse is going to be trained for a Gold Cup when it has absolutely no chance of winning a Gold Cup in Long Press, so I'm very annoyed. But look, Dan Skelton said the same thing last year, protector and brought him back, so I think she'll bring him back. And I've got 20 to 1 on Long Press for Ryanair, and I hope I'm happy because Venetia Williams, like Dan Skelton, saw the light last year and said that this is Ryanair horse, which it is. I would put Long Press is my probably I'm very happy at 20 to 1 if it runs, yeah.
Yeah, fair play. Um, at the moment, I haven't really done much anti-post. I'd say Slade's still at 14s for the Arkle. I'm happy with that. I think he will run in the race. So 14s, I think I'm happy with. Diva Luna at 14s, maybe for the Mayor's Novice, but I'm not going to spend too much time on that. Question three, Jamie Dawson, fellow Coventry City fan, sports the best football team in the world. So obviously going to be a good question. Constitution, Constitution Hill, if he came back to his best, we're obviously talking about Newcastle first time out. Do you think he's going to be as effective this year, in your opinion, before he runs? What is your honest opinion, the way you look at things with Constitution Hill? And if he did come back to his best, how would it affect Lossiemouth's plans?
I don't think it'll affect Losty Mouth's plans at all, I think, this year because The problem is, Scotty, is going to be no, two nothing races that runs at Newcastle and the Christmas hurdle at Kempton. So you're not going to find out till March.
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to be scared compared to years ago. And I think last time out will run the champion hurdle against it. You're not going to find out till March. That's the problem. Simple. All right.
Yeah, I kind of think the vibes are good at the moment. Last year, when Henderson was having problems, I was just kind of like, yeah, he's not going to run. A lot of people thought he wasn't going to run. I'm confident. I think you can get a bit of 7-4. It's obviously not a price I'll ever take anti-post on a horse like Constitution Hill, who's been injured. I think the vibes are good, and I think if he does win, I'm agreeing with you. I think Lossiemouth, if they want to take their chance, they will. But I still think she ends up in the mare's hurdle. The next question is from Alec Mansfield, a very good friend of mine, very good, knowledgeable punter, especially on the flat racing. Alec is very, very good, and he's a great judge. He's asked us a question. He said last year, 2 years ago, Ginger Joe found a winner 20-1 plus of the Supreme in Marina Chanel. Is there a 20-1 horse winner of the Supreme that we can give him? I'm going to quickly start. I backed William Money at 25s. Same connections for Barry Connell. Whether he's quite good enough, we'll obviously find out. Is there a 20-1 Supreme winner, Jamie?
I got 25 to 1 for like a tenner to win on Salvatore Monday. Yeah.
Salvador Mundy. Yeah, I think they said today that possibly the Royal Bond, which is now a grade two, is where he's going to start. So Salvador Mundy and William Money.
The only thing is, I will say, when Willie Mullins mentions the county hurdle, you have to take note. So
Yeah, I
I
mean,
wouldn't care less if he was beaten in the Royal Bond, because then he'd be put away for a county hurdle.
well, I think the thing with Salvador Mundy, I don't know if French runs count. I don't think they do. He obviously ran in the Triumph last year. He ran in that race earlier in the summer where he won by about 60 million lengths, didn't he? So that'll be his third run. I think he needs another two more to qualify for the
One
county
more.
hurdle after that.
One more.
One more, four runs. Okay. So Salvador Mundy, a big shout from Jay for the county hurdle potentially in that. Final question to wrap up the show. Best mate on Joe's Discord group. You can join Joe's Discord. It's very cheap, very good, lots of winners, brilliant golf tipster. He's all right at horses. Best
And he's,
mate has
and he's
asked,
sponsored by?
and he's sponsored by betting.co.uk. Just thank you, Jamie. Best mate has asked, at the moment, if we had to pick me and you, winner of the King George, winner of the Ryanair, winner of the Gold Cup, who would you pick? Jamie. King George.
Well, there's only two horses, really. I don't have three for it because the two of the three is going to win. So Fastest Slow is going to win the King George,
Yeah.
Non-Press is going to win the Ryanair, and Fastest Slow is going to win the Gold Cup.
Yeah, I'm starting to come around to fast or slow in the King George. I think the French horse Le Francais is very good at Kempton. I still would prefer fast or slow at this stage. Ryanair, I put up Grange Clare West and Joe's compilation
Mhm.
anti-post videos at the moment. I don't think he's put the video out, but I put Grange Clare West up in that. I've also started to get a bit warm on Hartwood. I mentioned him earlier in the show. I think 20-1 for the Ryanair is a good price. So I'd be kind of like Hartwood and Grange Clare West at the moment. Gold Cup, I'm all over Factor File. I think it's going to be a new winner this year of the Gold Cup. So yeah, that is my picks. Jamie, we got there. We've been just over an hour, and
Excellent.
I might see you at the job centre next week. Well, I'll be at the job centre next week. But yeah, we're going to be back next week, and we've got some special guests coming on the show. I think Ginger's going to be back as well, and we're going to keep on top of things. We're going to try and keep it short and sweet. We had a lot to talk about this week, but Jamie, thanks, mate.
What
Have a
about it,
good
Scotty?
week.
We'll see you all next week.
So just before we go, like and subscribe, comment, ask us loads of questions, follow us on Twitter. You know where the button is. Everything helps. And again, we were sponsored by betting.co.uk. Have a good week and happy punting and good luck.
Thank you, lads. Bye now.